What was the stupidest thing someone has asked you 100% seriously? I work in a toll booth and was working on the westbound side. A lady drove up to my booth really mad, which is par for the course, but I digress. She told me that every day she takes this route home from work, and every single day the sun is directly in her eyes. Well, of course, she's driving westbound at 6 p.m. When I mentioned this, she brushed it off and asked, well, can't you change the direction of the road, or at least put a cover over it? I can't be the only person who is bothered by this. I was at my cottage looking at the stars at night with a friend, and she turned to me and asked, are there countries in the sky? I didn't know what she meant, so I asked her to explain, and then she said, well, are there any countries in the world that are just kind of in the sky? I was so confused that I just sat there in silence, but eventually she says, I mean, is there land on the earth in the sky where people live that are countries? At that point I just gave up and said no, and she replied, oh, okay, so reassuringly. I'm a whitewater raft guide. One of my customers asked me why they put rocks in the river if they are so dangerous. I'm an identical twin, and one time a girl asked me if we get each other confused. For context, I work in a phone shop. Customer, what is this? Hands me his bill. Me, this is your bill. Customer, but I already paid it. Me, well then, don't worry about it. Customer, no, I mean I paid it last month. Me, oh, this is just your second bill then. Customer, but I already paid it. Me, last month's bill. Yes, this is your next bill. Customer, you mean they keep sending these every month? Me, yes, that's what a phone contract is. You signed a contract for 2 years, didn't you? Customer, yeah. Me, so you will get a bill each month for 2 years then. Customer, what a RIP off. He legit thought he would only get a single 90 bill for his brand new iPhone over the entire 2 years of his contract. Waited on a woman who asked me what kind of meat was in our beef taco salad. Lady, what kind of meat is in your beef taco salad? Me, beef. L, what kind of beef? Me, beef. Ground beef seasoned with taco seasoning. L, no, I mean, is it pork or chicken? Me, ma'am, it's beef. It's from a cow. It's beef. What day of the week is Good Friday on? Do you mean what date? No. What day of the week? It was on a Thursday last year. No. If it was possible to even land a plane on Japan, because it's so small. Because, you know, maps are a one description of the world. Working for a rafting company, I'm asked far too often at the end of the float if we are back at the start. Rivers don't flow in goddamn circles. I once asked someone to look to the left of something on her screen. She asked, my left or your left? We were both facing the same direction. How did we build the mountains? My brother's fiance, while we drove through the Rockies. I have a buzz cut. A guy at work recently asked, dead seriously, do you cut your hair? Or does it only grow that long? My wife and I were watching The Martian and she looked over at me and asked if it was based on a true story. The USA is in California, right? Not me, but our safari guide in South Africa said he once heard a woman ask her husband, honey, is that the same moon we see in Texas? Not asked, but in high school show choir, we took a trip to Toronto from the US for a competition. One girl thought Toronto was in Florida and only packed bathing suits, shorts, and crop tops. When I was in college and my flatmate saw my room, he asked me in all seriousness, why is your toilet so clean? My current boss asked me to make the pages smaller so she can see all of them. She had Excel zoomed into 200% and thought I was just sending things in font 46. This person has been in her position for 12 years. Someone was placing an order once at my family's restaurant, and they had asked me for a side of French fries without the potatoes. I assumed she was joking, so I laughed. She wasn't joking. She got offended and left the restaurant lol. The homecoming queen at my high school asked me if the Native Americans really existed. A full moon only happens once every 10 years, right? First day working a tech support job. I answer a phone call from a woman whose laptop won't turn on. She's at the airport trying to get some work done and is very frustrated because she had been working for several hours during a layover and the laptop suddenly shut off. I asked her if she had the laptop plugged in when it shut off, or if she was just running it on the battery. It can be plugged in. I thought it was supposed to be wireless. I honestly thought I was being pranked because I was the new guy. After a lengthy pause to decide if this was a serious call, I advised her to try plugging it in. Laptop turned on. She was amazed that it didn't just recharge itself when she wasn't using it. I used to work at a sub shop and a lady asked me how much bigger is the 8-inch compared to the 6-inch. I replied with 2 inches. That was that. Do we have the ability to open digital files? This is the guy who would print PDFs from our server then scan the print to his email so he could save them to his desktop. When I was a kid, I asked my dad for a tuna fish sandwich without the tuna fish. He handed me 2 pieces of bread. To this day, I've never seen him laugh harder than he did the first time he told me this story. He said I was about 4. While holding a container of Morton salt. Do you know if there's sodium in salt? I mean, I know there's iodine to prevent retardation, but is there sodium? This one guy asked me how to UN or something. The guy ahead of me asked the Chipotle employee, "What's leitucky?" It was lettuce. He asked what lettuce was. In high school, we were warming up before a baseball game one evening and some really ominous, dark clouds started rolling in. One of my teammates very seriously asked, "Is that a storm, or is that just night coming?" I will never forget that. In my driver's ed class, the instructor was discussing cardinal directions. He asked a girl on the front row what direction her house was from here. She points out the window and he goes, "So, west." She responds, "Well, it's my east, because I'm facing you." A girl at school asked me if Wisconsin was the capital of Texas. She was confused, cause she moved to TX from we. I said no, it's Austin and Wisconsin is a state not a city. She said ooh, thanks. We were high school freshmen. How? Just how? You lived there, girl? I worked in a pizza restaurant when I was 16. They had a pizza they called a UFO pizza. It was just another slab of dough on top of a regular pizza, and it made it look like an orb. Hence the name. One day a guy that worked there was writing down a telephone order, turns around and says, "Hey guys, how do you spell UFO?" The owner looked mortified and just repeated UFO. He stared back in silence for a few moments before it hit him. I'm working the help desk. Do you guys have any of those wireless internet cables? Blank stare ensued while I waited for her to understand the request. Then I said it's already plugged in. I worked at a cafe with white mugs. Crisp white china mugs. A woman ordered a dark roast coffee and a green tea to stay, and then when I slid them to her she looked straight at them and then back at me with big Bambi eyes. Which is which? Can you name all the digits of pi? Confused. I recited a couple of numbers before trailing off. A friend beside me piped up, claiming that he could indeed name every single digit. Cue 2 minutes of him sing his way through pi, making appropriate pauses to think or to do some quick mental math before continuing. All of this was done with the asker pointing her phone at him, convinced she's got the next viral hit. Needless to say, holding back my laughter was extremely difficult. Not the stupidest thing someone has asked, but when they were asked to name an inanimate object, they looked around the electronics store they were in and said, "I don't know. My finger." Like, dude, you picked the only animate object in the whole damn store. Work in retail. Guy comes in, He looks pretty average. Has a nice suit, nice glasses, well kept hair. Above average I guess. He's looking for a particular stock pot that the store carries, and I bring him over to where they're kept. He begins to stare at the box. A deeply troubled look emerges slowly on his face as he places his hand on his chin. The box art depicts the pot in use, with some photoshopped water and a corn cob bobbing out of it. This is relevant. Trust me. After about 10 seconds of him staring perplexedly at the box I ask, "Anything else I can help you with?" He replies, sounding confused. "So, this thing can only be used to cook on." I stared blankly at him. Was he ducking with me? His vexed demeanor told me no. He was indeed concerned about the product's potentially limited use. I honestly have no idea how long I was speechless. It felt like minutes. I couldn't speak. No one is that dumb. Right. He eventually says, "It's okay. I'll figure it out from here," and continued to gaze at the box in hopes of gleaning the answers to the troubles he had encountered. My 20-something daughter asked why we never see squirrel eggs. Us parent types responded that's because squirrels are mammals and don't lay eggs like birds do. To which she responded, "Then show me an infant squirrel breastfeeding squirrel." This led to a conversation that was much longer than needed to be. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe,